Welcome everyone to A Baker's Passion. I am Ray Madursky and I'm going to demonstrate how to put together a simple French style apple tart, a tarte aux pommes. And I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you really go to the website, to my blog, and get the recipes and try to see how you do with this recipe. It's straightforward, it's simple. There are videos on how to put together the pastry, how to blind bake and pre-bake the shells, etc. So we're going to get started, and I hope you'll have fun with all of these videos and the recipes most of all. Thank you. Okay, now this tart shell is going to go back in the oven with apples and the apple compote. So it's not quite as brown as the other tart. It's partially baked. So what I'm going to do first, it just came out of the oven. I've lightly whipped 1 egg yolk. I'm just going to brush the whole surface of the tart shell with the lightly beaten egg yolk. The egg white, excuse me, it's just the egg white. What this does is it seals the dough, and it will make sure that the apple compote will not cause the dough to become gooey or gummy. Here is the apple compote, which actually that's not a good job of showing it to you. Here, I'm going to spread really thin layer of the compote into the hot shell. You do this while it's hot. Okay, I'm going to show you, peel the apple, peel your apples, cut them in half through the stem, and then I like to use a melon baller to get out the core with the seeds, and then I use a knife to trim whatever skin the peeler didn't get, and I always put a little V down in the bottom there. So again, trim, and there we go. Okay, now to cut the apples, I find it best to use a chef's knife, and I use a short one. And what I do is I use my fingers as guides along here, and I just drag the knife through the apple, and you wind up getting beautifully thin slices. Go slowly, don't try to be fast, because safety is more important than anything. And eventually, when you're really comfortable and you've done this a lot, you can start to speed it up. With all knife skills, I think practice makes perfect, and you really want to be careful. So what I do is I pick up one bunch of the sliced apples and literally fan them out. And you could go either this way with the points inward or the points towards the outside. I think they rest a little bit nicer on the tart with the points going inward. Okay, so we have our first circle going in one direction. Now we're going to fan out the next bunch of apples, and they will actually go the opposite direction. So what we're doing is making concentric circles, and the apples are going to slightly overlap. You can take as much time or as little time as you want doing this step, and the point is that when the apples bake, they kind of lose their moisture and they flatten down a little bit, so there's lots of self-correcting that goes on with this. Now the idea is to wind up with a definite center, and in the center you can do all kinds of things. You can cut a few small pieces and just place them in there, as I am doing, and they are going to bake down, so beware. But that's all you have to do. That's pretty much excuse me, our apple tart ready to go back into the oven now for about 60 minutes at 350 degrees. And the idea is to get the apples to slightly caramelize along their edges, and to kind of help that along, what I like to do is sprinkle a teaspoon. And yes, that's right, a teaspoon of granulated sugar right over the apples. All right, 2 teaspoons. Okay, our apple tart just came out of the oven. There's a look at how it should look. It took 65 minutes to get to this point. Now what I'm going to do is take the tart out of the tart pan and put it on the rack so I could glaze it while it's hot. On the rack. Now what I'm going to do is take some apricot glaze, and it's just melted apricot preserves. I'm going to brush the hot tart with it. And you don't want to put too much on, but you do want to seal essentially the fruit. And I like to go down the sides of the pastry. I think it's a good idea to brush the top and the sides. And the next video I will complete the strawberry and the grape tarts. Alright, so let me finish this and you can see what we're going to look like. When working with the apricot preserve, all I do is put preserves, a few drops of orange juice, literally maybe 2 tablespoons, and I like to put a little cognac in it too. I make my own vanilla from a cognac, so I usually use that, so there's a really fresh, beautiful taste to the apricot glaze. But you want to be careful. This stuff really gets hot, and when anything has sugar that's hot in it, it tends to stick to you. So try not to get this on your hand, and if you do, get it under cold water right away, because you want to get the sticky syrup off your hand, because that's what's actually burning. All right. There we go. I think that is just about perfect. And as I said, I do like to brush the outside of the pastry. I think it just keeps it nicer.